So here we're looking at percent. We are looking to convert a percent to a decimal by dropping the percent sign and move the decimal 2 places to the left. Converting a decimal to a percent will move the decimal 2 places to the right and insert a percent at the end. Computing a percentage will divide the part by the whole. The number that follows of is the whole, and we'll write the decimal as a percent. So let's go look at a couple of examples. So example 1, part A. So here we're going to convert a percent to a decimal. So if we're looking at 60%, we're going to drop the percent sign and move the decimal place over 2 places. So sometimes it helps. Understand that at the back end of this number is where the decimal is. So we're going to move it over 2 places. So we'll end up with 0.60. We can put a 0 in front of it or not. Sometimes for some students it's easier to see if we do. And we'll drop the percent sign. So for part B, if we have 3.5%, again, we're dropping it 2 places. We can see the decimal this time, so we're still going to move it 2 places. That means we're going to insert a 0 in front of that 3. So we will end up with 0.035 and dropping that percent sign again. All right, let's look at part C. If we have 62%, again, that decimal is right here. So we're going to move that decimal over 2 places. So we'll end up with 0.62. We'll put a 0 in front of it. If we have a 2.6%, then again, we're moving it 2 places to the left, and that will give us 0.026 for our equivalent decimal. And if we have 12.98%, when we move it 2 places, then we'll find that we have 0.1298. So that's converting from percent to a decimal. Now let's convert decimals to percent. All right, so the first one we're looking at is if we have 0.47. Now we're moving the decimal the other way. We're going to go 1, 2, so now it's at the back end. So this will be 47, and we don't have to write the decimal, we can just write our percentage. Okay, for part B, if we have 1.5 and we want to make that into a percent, again, we're still moving it 2 places. So that means we're going to have to insert a 0 there. So we will end up with 150% or 150%. And you can have more than 100%. That is an okay number to come up with. If we have 0.18, when we move it 2 places to the right, we will end up with 18%. If we have 0.245, when we move it 2 places to the right, we will end up with 24.5%. If we have 0.0067, moving it 2 places to the right, we will end up with 0.67%, and that is okay to have a decimal percentage. All right, let's look at computing a percent. So we're looking at example 3. So we're looking at 1,200 divided by 3,750. Oh. Okay, we need to go read the word problem. Sorry about that. All right, so suppose you make $3,750 a month, and your mortgage is $1,200 per month. What percent of your monthly pay goes to pay your mortgage? So you're making $3,750 a month, but your mortgage is $1,200. We want to know the percentage of your monthly pay that goes to pay your mortgage. So the word that follows of is the whole. So what part of the whole? Your mortgage payment is part of your total monthly income that you have to pay out. So the part over the whole. So we're basically putting 1,200 divided by 3,750. So we can look at this as the part divided by the whole, which is 1,200 over 3,750. You can look at it either way. When you divide that into a calculator, you will get 0.32, but we want to change that to a percentage. Moving the decimal 2 places, it will become 32%. All right, let's look at example 4. So for example 4, suppose you make $4,250 a month and you put $100 per month into a retirement account. What percent of your monthly pay do you set aside for retirement? So the amount you make, again, is still your whole. The amount you're paying into the retirement is your part. So that means we're still doing our part divided by the whole. The part is $100 out of your whole amount of money is $4,250. When we put that in a calculator, we're going to get 0.024, and we want to change that again to a percent. So when we do that, we're moving the decimal place 2 places, and we'll end up with 2.4%. So I'm showing you, you can draw the loops like I did on the previous ones, or you can just know that it goes over 2 places. Either way works, whatever helps you understand it better. All right, let's talk about what percent. We're going to kind of change things slightly in what we're looking at. These will be like a kind of like a word problem. So if we want to compute a percentage of a given amount, we want to write the percentage as a decimal and then multiply by the given amount. So that kind of gives us, if we're taking a percentage or computing a percentage of that. So write the percentage as a decimal and then multiply by it. And we're going to do those here in just a second. So let's look at example 5. We want to know what percent of, oops, that doesn't look too much like an of 20 is 4. Now remember, the word or the number after of is going to be the whole. Of 20 is 4, so the 20 is the whole, and the 4, the is the part. So we're writing the part over the whole again, so it's going to be 4 divided by 20, which will get us a decimal of 0.2, and then it becomes 20% as we change it to a percent. Okay, so that's part A. Let's look at part B. So what percent of 11.5 is 9.9? So remember, the of, this will be the whole, this will be the part. So the part over the whole. This will get you 0.861. Change it to a percent. We move it over 2 places. We get 86.1%. All right, what percent of 340 is 270? So again, part over the whole. So 270 over 340 equals 0.794, which will be 79.4%. All right, let's look at, we're going to look at similar to this, but change it just slightly in the wording. I'm going to change my color here because we're going to change it slightly. So let's look at D. We want to find 40% of 150. Well, this goes back to what I was talking about. We're going to write the percentage as a decimal and then multiply by the given amount. So we're computing the percentage of a given amount. So we want to change this, so 40% equals 0.4, because we move that decimal place over 2 places and wrote the percentage. So now we can take 0.4 and multiply it by the 150, and that will get us 60. Now, we can check this by looking back to what we did. So 60 is, we can do that same thing we did. What percent of 150 is 60, and it would get us 40%. So you can kind of go backwards and take 60 divided by 150. You should get 40%. So you'll get the 0.4 and then have to change it to the percentage. So it's the same concept, but we've changed it around just a little bit. Okay, let's look at the next one. So what is 54.9% of 189? So again, we have to take our percent and change it. So 54.9% will equal, when we move the decimal over 2 places, 0.549, and then we'll take that number and multiply by 189, which is 103.76. All right, let's look at F. What is 75% of 40? Oh, I forgot my question mark there. So 75% is equal to 0.75. When we change it from a percent to a decimal, take the decimal, multiply it by the 40, and you'll end up with 30. All right, let's go look at example 6. So you order 3 new games online costing a total of $92.50. When you get to the checkout, you find that you have to pay a shipping fee of 10% of the merchandise amount. How much do you pay for shipping? So this is where being able to find these percentages is a good thing. So the first thing that we know, this will be example 6, is we have a 10%. Well, the 10% has to become a decimal. So we move it over 2 places, we'll have 0.10, which we can just write as 0.1. And then we have to multiply it times our total of 92.50. And when we do that, we will get 9.2 $9.25. And it's money, so we can put a dollar sign on it. So that's how much the shipping will be $9.25. All right, let's go look at example 7. A concrete company charges a 3% convenience fee if customers choose to pay their bill with a credit card. If it costs $612 for the concrete, what was the convenience fee? All right, so first of all, we have a 3% charge. Changing that to a decimal, it'll be 0.03. And then we'll take our 0.03 and multiply it times our total of 612. And when we multiply that, we will get $18.36. So it will cost you, for that convenience of using the credit card, $18.36. All right, let's look at example 8. Suppose you make $3,000 per month and want to set aside 7.5% of your total monthly salary in a retirement account. How much money will you put aside into your account, your retirement account, each month? So our percentage is 7.5%. First thing we have to do is change that to a decimal. Moving it over 2 places, we'll get 0.075. And then we will multiply that by our total monthly salary of $3,000. And we will put aside $225 each month into the retirement account.